The Midnight Special. The wind howled through the narrow streets of Blackwood, a small, isolated town nestled deep within the thick, ominous woods. It was a place where the shadows seemed darker, and the nights were eerier than any other. Blackwood was notorious for its legends of restless spirits and inexplicable phenomena, and on this fateful night, those legends would come to life. Jared, a young pizza delivery guy, had drawn the short straw and was assigned the dreaded midnight shift. He was well aware of the town's eerie reputation, but he didn't believe in ghost stories. Armed with a stack of pizza boxes and a GPS, he navigated the winding roads that led to a remote cabin deep within the woods. The order had come in from a customer named Mr. Gravewalker, who had insisted on an unusual delivery time, precisely midnight. The address was far from any known landmarks, and the cabin seemed to exist only on the outskirts of reality. As Jared drove deeper into the forest, the trees closed in around him, casting eerie shadows and blocking out the moonlight. The GPS led him to a decrepit, overgrown path that seemed to have been abandoned for centuries. Twisted branches clawed at the sides of his car, as if trying to pull him into the dark abyss beyond. Unease crept over him, but he pushed it aside as irrational fear. Finally, the GPS announced, "You have reached your destination." Jared's headlights fell upon the cabin, shrouded in an eerie mist. The structure looked ancient, as though it had been standing there for centuries. Its windows were boarded up, and the door was creaked ajar. The only light emanated from a flickering lantern on the porch. Reluctantly, Jared grabbed the pizza boxes and approached the cabin. The air grew colder, and he could feel eyes upon him, though he couldn't see anyone. He knocked on the door, and it swung open with a rusty groan, revealing the dimly lit interior. "Hello? Pizza delivery?" Jared called out hesitantly, his voice echoing through the empty cabin. The flickering lantern barely illuminated the room, revealing an eerie, dusty atmosphere. Furniture was draped with dusty sheets, cobwebs hung in every corner, and the air was thick with an otherworldly chill. Jared ventured further into the cabin, following a faint whisper that seemed to beckon him deeper inside. He rounded a corner and stumbled upon a room that sent shivers down his spine. The walls were adorned with strange symbols, and an altar stood in the center, covered with flickering candles and mysterious objects. Then he saw him, Mr. Gravewalker, a tall, gaunt figure draped in tattered robes, standing in the shadows. "You've arrived just in time," Mr. Gravewalker hissed, his voice sounding like it came from the grave. "I've been waiting for you." Jared's heart raced as he tried to make sense of the situation. "You ordered pizza?" Mr. Gravewalker nodded slowly, a twisted smile curling his lips. "But not just any pizza. A pizza with an ancient recipe, passed down through generations. A pizza that will grant me eternal life." Before Jared could react, Mr. Gravewalker lunged at him, and the room filled with a deafening cacophony of unholy incantations. The candles flickered wildly, casting dancing shadows on the walls, and Jared felt a force pulling at his very soul. Panic surged through him as he realized the true nature of the situation. He dropped the pizza boxes and made a desperate run for the door, but it slammed shut before he could reach it. The symbols on the walls glowed with an eerie light, and the room seemed to come alive, trapping him in its sinister grasp. Jared turned to confront Mr. Gravewalker, who was now chanting in a language unknown to mortal ears. Dark energy swirled around him, and a horrifying transformation began. His body contorted, limbs elongated, and his eyes glowed with an unnatural, malevolent light. As Jared watched in terror, the ancient pizza recipe in Mr. Gravewalker's hands began to levitate. It pulsed with an unholy power, and Jared realized that this was no ordinary pizza. It was a sinister concoction, an eldritch recipe that would turn the delivery boy into a vessel for Mr. Gravewalker's dark ambitions. Jared's screams filled the cabin as the ritual reached its climax. The pizza recipe enveloped him in a nightmarish whirlwind of ancient magic, binding his soul to Mr. Gravewalker's. He could feel his very essence being drained away, replaced by a malevolent force beyond comprehension. As the ritual concluded, Jared stood transformed, his eyes now sharing the same malevolent glow as Mr. Gravewalker's. He was no longer human but a vessel for dark, ancient power. Together with his new master, they would continue their unholy quest for eternal life, lurking in the shadows of Blackwood, ready to ensnare anyone foolish enough to deliver pizza to their cursed cabin. And so, the legend of the pizza delivery gone wrong became another eerie tale in the haunted history of Blackwood, a town where darkness and horror thrived, and where the boundaries between the living and the dead were forever blurred. The Midnight Special, Part 2, Unearthly Appetite. Weeks turned into months, and the sinister duo of Mr. Gravewalker and the transformed Jared continued to haunt the town of Blackwood. The pizza delivery gone wrong had unleashed an ancient evil upon the unsuspecting residents, and no one was safe from their insatiable appetite for darkness. The cursed cabin served as their lair, hidden deep within the forbidding woods. Within its walls, Mr. Gravewalker and Jared conducted unspeakable rituals, growing more powerful with each passing day. The townspeople could sense the palpable malevolence in the air, but they dared not venture near the cabin, for they knew it was a place of unspeakable horrors. As the pair fed on the fear and despair of Blackwood's inhabitants, a peculiar craving began to gnaw at them. It wasn't just any sustenance they sought, it was a specific hunger for a new kind of pizza, one that would further augment their otherworldly abilities. Mr. Gravewalker, his form more monstrous than ever, whispered to Jared, "We need a special ingredient for our next pizza, one that will grant us even greater power." Jared, now fully entrenched in the darkness, nodded obediently. "What do we need, Master?" Mr. Gravewalker revealed a cryptic book, its pages adorned with ancient symbols and arcane recipes. This book holds the key to the ultimate pizza recipe, a pizza that will make us unstoppable. Together, they deciphered the mystic instructions within the book. It called for an ingredient known as soul pepper, a rare and sinister spice that could only be found in the deepest, darkest corners of the town's haunted forest. The legend said that soul pepper had the power to consume the essence of its victims, leaving them as empty husks. One moonless night, under the shroud of darkness, Mr. Gravewalker and Jared ventured into the haunted forest, guided by the eerie whispers of the malevolent spirits that called it home. The trees seemed to close in around them, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers, and the air grew heavy with a foreboding presence. The duo stumbled upon a clearing, bathed in an otherworldly blue light. There, in the center of the clearing, grew a single, twisted pepper plant, its peppers pulsating with an unholy glow. This was the soul pepper they sought. Jared approached the plant, his fingers trembling as he plucked one of the peppers. It felt warm to the touch, like it pulsed with life, and he could hear faint whispers emanating from within. As he held it closer to his face, the pepper opened its mouth-like orifice and emitted a chilling wail that sent shivers down his spine. With the soul pepper in hand, they returned to the cabin and began to prepare the unholy pizza. The ancient recipe combined the eerie spice with ingredients gathered from the darkest realms, and the ritual was performed with terrifying precision. As the pizza baked, the cabin shook with otherworldly energy, and the very air seemed to crackle with malevolence. When the pizza emerged from the oven, its aroma was both enticing and sinister, a temptation that no mortal could resist. They sliced the pizza into servings, each piece pulsating with dark power. Mr. Gravewalker and Jared took their first bites, and an unholy ecstasy washed over them. The soul pepper had granted them unimaginable abilities, control over the elements, the power to command the spirits of the forest, and the ability to move through shadows at will. With newfound power coursing through their veins, they vowed to spread their darkness beyond Blackwood. The cursed cabin would serve as their gateway to other realms, and they would bring terror to unsuspecting towns far and wide. And so, the legends of the pizza delivery gone wrong continued to grow, a tale of darkness that would haunt the world forever. Blackwood became a place of unspeakable horrors, a town where the boundaries between the living and the dead were forever blurred, and where the appetites of the supernatural knew no bounds. The Midnight Special, Part 3, The Final Delivery. The malevolent duo of Mr. Gravewalker and the transformed Jared had spread their darkness far and wide, leaving a trail of fear and despair in their wake. Town after town fell under their unholy influence, and the world itself seemed to shudder at their presence. But as their power grew, so did the determination of those who would oppose them. In a town not far from Blackwood, a group of brave souls had heard the tales of the cursed cabin and the sinister pizza. They called themselves the Guardians of Light, and they had dedicated their lives to combating the forces of darkness that threatened to engulf the world. The Guardians, armed with knowledge passed down through generations, had uncovered a prophecy, an ancient riddle that foretold of a way to defeat Mr. Gravewalker and Jared once and for all. The prophecy spoke of a pizza of redemption, a pizza that could counteract the malevolent effects of the cursed pizza and weaken the unholy duo. Determined to fulfill the prophecy, the Guardians embarked on a perilous journey to gather the ingredients needed for the pizza of redemption. These ingredients were scattered across the realm, hidden in places of unspeakable danger. They faced trials that tested their courage, strength, and unwavering faith in the light. After months of relentless pursuit, the Guardians assembled the ingredients and returned to Blackwood. They ventured deep into the haunted forest, guided by the knowledge passed down through their lineage. There, they found the cursed cabin, surrounded by an aura of darkness that seemed impenetrable. As they entered the cabin, they were met with a sinister surprise. Mr. Gravewalker and Jared, now more powerful than ever, stood ready to defend their dominion. The cabin itself seemed to come alive, its walls shifting and contorting in response to the malevolent energy that filled the room. A fierce battle ensued, with the Guardians using the pizza of redemption to counter the dark powers of their adversaries. The two pizzas clashed, unleashing a cataclysmic wave of energy that threatened to tear the cabin apart. In the midst of the chaos, Jared's humanity flickered within him, a glimmer of the person he once was. He began to question the path he had chosen, the darkness he had embraced. Memories of his former life, of pizza deliveries made in innocence, flooded his mind. With a burst of newfound resolve, Jared turned against Mr. Gravewalker, using the pizza of redemption to weaken his master. The Guardians seized this opportunity and chanted an incantation that would imprison Mr. Gravewalker in a realm beyond the reach of mortals. As the dark figure screamed in agony, the cabin's walls collapsed, burying Mr. Gravewalker beneath a mountain of rubble. The darkness that had haunted Blackwood for so long began to dissipate, and the town itself seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. Jared, now free from the curse, emerged from the wreckage of the cabin. He was forever scarred by the horrors he had witnessed and the darkness he had once embraced, but he was determined to make amends. He joined the Guardians of Light, using his knowledge of the unholy pizza to protect the world from similar threats. The cursed cabin, once a place of unspeakable terror, lay in ruins, a testament to the triumph of light over darkness. The town of Blackwood, scarred but no longer haunted, began to heal, and its residents could finally sleep peacefully once more. The legends of the pizza delivery gone wrong became a story of redemption and the indomitable.